There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bom dia, alegria, Munson here. Boa quinta-feira, everybody. How you doing? It's a Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Let me just check all the settings are right. It's so funny. Sometimes I arrive at the desk long before the show is meant to start, and then suddenly it's 8:31 or 8:32, like it was this morning, busily downloading things, the beautiful things that you send in to 913-590-303. Got a call on that number this morning asking me if I wanted to sell a house. One of those wonderful conversations that you have, a little bit in Portuguese, a little bit in English. It was a really nice exchange, actually. But no, I don't want to sell a house in, I think it was Santa Feira, where I was being accused of having and wanting to sell a house at about 20 past 8 this morning. If that was you, let me know, 913-590-303. Quite a lot of Carretos pictures that have come in. And then some of them seem to have got lost after download. Filomena, this is just going back to Carnival. We saw the wonderful video of Filomena dancing, did we not? In Miranda de Corvo. And these Carretos from Podentes are perhaps the most, I don't know, most popular, most famous around the world. They've been sent all over the world as a cultural export from Portugal, and quite rightly so, because they're so brilliantly colourful. There's another. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Sarah Yeoman sent that in. And there was one that looked like the finale of some Carnival action, Son of Sarah Matt, which sounds like something from Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Son of Sarah Matt. And Matt Wise Ganji and his picture here. It says, do you want to save this? Yes, I do want to save it. It's trying to tell me I've already saved it, and I can't see where I've saved it. I do want to show you this fabulous picture, Carnival climactic here. So just bear with me for just a moment, and that's about to come onto your screen now. So yeah, the wonderful picture of a Carretos in Podentes. We've got also, I'm in trouble behind the scenes. Here we go. Couldn't see it properly. I'm gonna either have to get some glasses or show the little thumbnails a little bit bigger behind the scenes. But look at that, a Carretos with a fantastic firework display there. Was that in Setúbal, Sarah? Maybe you could let us know. But that's a lovely set of pictures there, isn't it, of the Carretos characters from Podentes, perhaps the most iconic of Carnival characters here in Portugal. There you go. And with Filomena there, Filomena who danced with her dance troupe at the Carnival in Miranda de Corvo as well. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much for those. Filomena, lots of pictures that came in from Filomena as well. Next time we see her, we will detail the fun she had over there in Miranda de Corvo as well. Lots of pictures have been sent my way, and lots of memes as well. And sadly, when they are on the screen this morning, at the end of the show, StreamYard says to me, is there anything we can improve? Actually, yeah. The view of these of the memes and things that are behind the scenes there, because I don't know what buttons I'm pressing. Although that could be good fun, couldn't it? What's this one here? Oh, that was Antonio Barbosa renting himself out at 500 euros on Valentine's Day. I think we can safely dispense with that one. What's this one here? The US Naval Observatory. Oh, somebody navel gazing outside. That's one that slipped away. I don't think we ever showed that one. Fantastic. Somebody's cat. My dog. Whose cat was that? The Pooch and Pussy section. Oh, we've been officially overwhelmed with wonderful pictures. So if that's your cat, can you please tell me? That's fantastic. And keep those pictures coming in on 913-590-303 as well. Over to Lisbon, although he's left there now and gone up to Porto, from where he's also sent some fantastic pictures. Let's catch up a bit with the ancient mariner this morning. who also is known as Salvation Air Force in the chat. And why would he send me a picture of Bastardo's fish bar, I wonder? I did ask Vitor about this. What does bastardo mean in Portuguese? Clearly not a way to offend people here in Lisbon, at least. Well, I don't think so. The food is not offensive. Look at that beautiful polvo on a smear of sweet potato, I think, with some beautifully cooked asparagus on top. My mouth is actually watering looking at that. I myself, if you're a member of our food, what's it called? Food, Wine and Good Times group. We changed it from the Good Morning Portugal Food and Wine Club to the Food, Wine and Good Times in Portugal. I posted up a picture of a very fine Alentejo white that I bought in Intermarché yesterday for $2.99 and a bag of mussels around the same sort of price, and had some wonderful moule at home last night. So I recommend that. Although I looked it up online, it's one of those specials, I think, at Intermarché. God, you look a bit rough this morning, mate. Yes, one of those specials that might just turn up in the supermarket and doesn't necessarily make it to the website. So I was suggesting it to Garvo, the great Garvo, man of reason in Alviagra, as a possible wine for our wine club on, what's the first Monday in March? Let's have a look at the calendar. That will be the 6th of March. Wow. 6th of March will be the next wine club. Do join us. It's a lot of fun where we look at a particular bottle of wine in Portugal and we sit around and drink it. Not as dull as that might sound immediately. Thank you for the bloom. I thought it was from North Dakota and the snow had cleared. No, Carlos is over there in Brazil with this beautiful flower that has been sent, and many others in an Instagram reel. Trouble is with those, Carlos, is that if I play that, now I've got myself monetized on YouTube. I don't want to be causing trouble over there. But maybe I'll just take the pictures and make a special video of the blooms that you sent in from Brazil. Where you're visiting your mum. So I hope you're having a great time over there. I'm enjoying this, all the pictures. This is from Bill and Marcus, of course. Let me just make sure I've got the right words to say about this while you savor that rather moody view. It's the moody views, folks, this morning. And that's came in from Bill. Good morning from the mountains of Salgueiro de Lomba, 30 minutes south of Coimbra. A fantastic looking morning there, and that's about how it is at the moment here in Portugal. A very moody night here in São Martinho de Porto as well. Very windy actually here in the bay, and still this morning, and still looking a bit ominous and threatening in the sky. Not unlike that, and I think that's been darkened too. Is that on the roof there? Is that one of those terracotta doves, or is that actually a real dove perched on one of your outbuildings there, Bill? Not a euphemism. Yes, it was quite the moody and windy night last night here in São Martinho. Probably like that all over Portugal right now. What's this lady saying? Do I save this? Yes, that's one I'm going to save for later, as is that. What's this one? Oh, this one's just in from dad joke warning then. Oh, I haven't done the dad joke warning for a little while, have I? And I think we should. They came in thick and fast yesterday. Hold on.
Warning.
Oh, yes. Why do you say we order some Chinese food? That would be, what's he called? What's Harrison Ford's character called in Star Wars? What do you say we order some Chinese food? He's saying to Chewbacca anyway. Han Solo, isn't he? But I don't know how to use chopsticks. Use the forks, Luke. Use the forks, says Obi-Wan to the young Luke there. Very good. Excellent stuff. Okay, we'll come back to the pictures and your wonderful contributions because it's 22 already. This morning, we have Maria João Silva with a beautiful blog that she's written that I'd like her to go through with us because it goes into some lovely vignettes of growing up in Portugal. And it leads to her views on personal growth as an adult as well, and how travel broadens the mind and expands the heart. Of course, a trip with her mum to Fatima. And at 9:30 this morning, or maybe they'll cross over as well, and I'll be hanging out. Two lovely ladies this morning. That'll be Maria João Silva and boots on the ground. Heather Binder will be with us from around 9:30. That's not my cat. That's Leopold, the neighborhood cat, Carl. Well, of course it is. And pictures from Owen to come. But first, before I share those with you on the screen, I'm going to pop them into a little photo collection, as we like to do with Owen's recent pictures of bird life on the Lima River up there in the north of Portugal, where he's having a fine time with his camera. So thank you for solving the mystery of whose black cat that was. I really had no idea, having left it too long in the picture deck. Okay, thank you, Star Wars crew, there as well. Thank you as well to everybody who bought a mug last night. Fantastic. It's been quite the effort getting the merch sorted out. And if I may show you, these are limited edition at the moment, not because I'm being precious or trying to panic buy, getting people to panic buy these. But let me see. If I go to the website, goodmorningportugal.com, on the quick links on the left-hand side, which I think are great fun. This website does look a bit old-fashioned. It's not one of your very visual WordPress websites. I use Google Sites, and I quite like it because I think we're becoming quite encyclopedic in the amount of information that we share. And on the quick links, you'll see merch GMP mug. Oh, that's great. Opens up a new tab. So let me just share that new tab with you. And oh yes, it goes straight through to Etsy, where we have the mug for sale. The classic. We did experiment, didn't we, with the Be Portuguese About It mug, or who doesn't like first thing in the morning mug. We'll come back to those, but we've gone with the classic. And we seem to have sold a load already. Only 4 left. It's the first 10 that I'm selling at the price of, why is it €738? Because that's the cost price pretty much. After it's been made, and we pay for that to be made in of all places, Norway, I think, where Gelato, our print on demand people are. And why have you gone with Norway, Carl, when probably you can get them printed in Portugal? If you do know someone who prints mugs in Portugal, we should do that as well. But the great thing about Gelato is that they send mugs all over the world. They seem to be the best geared up for sending mugs all over the world, dealing with the tax issues, dealing with postage, and being quite fast about it, I've discovered as well. So I need to get my skates on. Then it's made by Gelato, and it's marketed here via Etsy. All the middlemen and people taking their cuts here. But thank you, Etsy. Etsy's a fantastic website, of course, helping indie producers. And it is Indie Portugal Thursday, of course, this morning. And we will be featuring some fantastic indie music to climax the show from Ron Rogers. Absolutely brilliant track, Portuguese Cowboys, it's my great pleasure to be able to play with you at the end of the show. But yeah, on the indie theme, indie producers, of course, creating all manner of lovely stuff on Etsy. And that's where we're marketing our mug at the cost price of $738 plus postage. Now, that's going to vary wherever you are, and there's going to be bunging taxes on there wherever you are as well. So it does creep up a little bit. Check out the checkout and see what it's going to cost you. But I'm keeping the price down on that at the moment, and that's just the cost price, because we're seeing how it goes with those. But this seems to be going very well. The first 10, we've already sold 6 overnight of the classic Good Morning Portugal mug, which I hope I've spelled Good Morning Portugal right. But even if I haven't, they'll become a collector's item, won't they? Well, there you go. You can hug a mug and have your favorite cup of joe or cha while you're watching the show there. And thank you to everybody who's already bought one of those. That's absolutely fantastic. There, I think, yeah, there's the close-up. A jauntily angled Good Morning cockerel. Who doesn't like a bit of that first thing in the morning? Okay, thank you very much to everybody who just put their hands in their pockets straight away and got yourselves a Good Morning Portugal mug. When those first 10 have gone, I'll have a better idea of what it's actually costing, and add a little bit in there as well to all help keep the train on the tracks, the show on the road here at Good Morning Portugal. Okay, a picture from me from yesterday then. I didn't think this was going to be such a beautiful photograph of Salio. It looks like a lake, doesn't it? It looks like freshwater, and it is in part freshwater. It's where the river Alco from Alcobaça runs into the sea at Salio de Porto and the Bay of San Martinho de Porto. I think it's a lovely picture and indicative of the weather right now. Cloudy, looks a little bit cool as well, doesn't it, in the picture? And that is down near the water. A couple of days before, me and Mrs. M dared to go up to the top of the hill, which I didn't tell you or Coach Turner about yesterday, because Mrs. M went up on her hands and knees. I had to take it in several. The kids just ran straight to the top to see this view here. And it doesn't look quite as dramatic from that vista. But believe me, that's a killer, that hill. Has anyone seen The Hill? I think it's like a war movie, isn't it? Where they punish men by making them climb up and down a sand dune, which is what it felt like. That's me and Mrs. M at the top. We made it to the top at Salio de Porto. The kids, no problem at all, running around in the sand dunes, and us. It was such an effort, but we felt so proud of ourselves having got to the top of the sand dune at Salio de Porto. I think I've got another picture of that. Yes, this one. Look, this was on the internet. It is over 50 meters high. There it is. There's people enjoying it in the summer, and it's the largest dune in Portugal and one of the highest in Europe. And what what beggars belief for me is with all the people running up and down. You know, often when you go to sand dunes, there's signs saying "Keep off the dunes, you're ruining them." I would have thought that would be the case here. How is it that amazing feature of nature stays in that condition with people running up and down it? Jokers like me and my family. So quite amazing. 50 meters high. Me and Mrs. Ann, we made it. Let's see what Coach Turner's saying over here in the comments. We've got Baddy, we've got T-Duck. I love my GMP mug. You got one of the originals, Suze. I have 2 of the larger ones, and now 2 of these. T-Duck has also ordered 2 less mugs now. Why is that? They do get broken sometimes, don't they? Especially, I was thinking about this yesterday. Why is it that some sinks, basins, would you call them? With your faucets and your basins, you Americans. Why are some sinks and basins made of materials that are just certain death for porcelain? Same as the floors here, isn't it? The tiled floors. You drop a GMP mug on that. That's very good for business when we put a profit on that bad boy. It's a terracotta dove. Of course it is. Thank you, Marcus, as well. Darren. Oh, did I tell you I found a $20 note and a box of chocolates under the bed? Is this a joke, Darren, or did you really find? Was it dollars or was it a euro note? I wonder. Where was this, Darren? And should I have read a comment earlier in the thread? But good morning to you, Suze, Buddy. Good morning to you, Darren. Matty's here as well. James is back. After me, we missed you. Ran out of boxes and lost my tape. Yes, I clearly do need to read the chat from top to bottom rather than backwards. It's not really helping. But who doesn't like it backwards sometimes first thing in the morning? Bon dia, Carl, gubbers, from a dry, nippy Belfast, 1 degree. A day for the big fire, maybe a bowl of stew. Irish stew in the name of the law. Have a good one, Deagle. And sorry to hear of the craziness continuing over there. And I hope that gentleman recovers well alongside your colleagues in the hospital there. Or with the help of your colleagues in hospital, I should say. Morning to you, mate. Deagle, bon dia. I was going to ask you something, Deagle. It was on my mind to ask you. It's gone now. Morning, Deagle. If you don't write it down or ask it in a moment, it can go, can't it? But it will come back to me at some random time this afternoon where I might WhatsApp you or I could forget again. We've got great comment, Heather. Heather's already here on Spanish time as well, an hour early. So we'll see you in a little while, Heather. Do you want to pop on quickly and say hello now? Do you want to give me a thumbs up? Is that okay? Or are we peaking too early with you? Do you want to come on? Yeah, she's nodding to me. Good morning, Heather. How are you?
Good morning. Good. I'm here. I'm with you.
We've got a very dark background here, which we prefer to have as a Portuguese blue sky here. Let me just change that. Your blues and home look very beautiful there. Are you speaking to us later from Caldas da Rainha?
I am. This is teal, Carl, not blue. Teal.
Oh, sorry. It is a lovely shade of teal, which is a spiritually enlivening color, isn't it?
It actually does look more blue on your camera, or what a video. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. And you're a bit. I think I was talking about the basins and the sinks.
I heard that.
I think we're getting a bit of echo from your surfaces, from your tiled floor, I think. So if you've got some lovely plug-in headphones with a mic on, that would be great when we speak to you.
I have those on. I'll see what I can do though.
Oh, maybe what's happening is you're coming back through your speakers, but it sounds like you're about to come out on stage in the park at Caldas da Rainha. Hey, Caldas, you rock! There's some reverb on there at the moment. So we look forward to speaking to you later. You're going to be talking to us, of course, about boots on the ground, which is your way of helping people move to Portugal, right?
Yes, boots on the ground, Portugal. You got it.
Okay.
Yep, so, visas and NIFs and all the fun stuff. Yep.
And housing as well. It's all about the housing at the moment, isn't it? Such a shortage of places.
Yes, we also help people find rentals and work with agents. And so, it's definitely about the housing. That's kind of what screws up the visa timing. 99% of the time is waiting for landlords to come through with these leases and people to put their deals together, and you see some crazy things. Yeah, I saw a lease the other day without a rental price, a monthly price.
Okay, well, just hedging their bets a bit, are they? Okay, well,
we're not. I advise them to not use that and get something that I think we'll fly.
There you go.
It's
For
sexy.
advice of that caliber and more, Heather will be joining us around the half past mark. And thank you for tuning into the show a little bit earlier. Please feel free to comment with your humorous contributions in the private chat as well, Heather. Bye for now.
Bye.
All right. Ciao. Okay, that's interesting. Beautiful home there. Looking forward to talking to Heather a bit later on. It was 1 degree in Belfast, wasn't it, when we last checked? Coach Turner, 24 hours before on our way to Madeira. Can't wait, you lucky man. Please send pictures and videos. God score tip of the day from you, Coach Turner. Stress is a strange thing, isn't it? Just if you don't have any, then you won't achieve much. That's the stress, isn't it? And then there's distress, too much, however. And all sorts of nasty things can happen at both long and short term. Thank you for that insight this morning. So be careful. Let's manage our stress. And I hope, generally speaking, we maybe stress you out in a good way if we ever stress you out here on the Good Morning Portugal show. But generally, we are a soothing balm in a somewhat crazy world here every morning, every weekday morning, anyway. And actually, yeah, early in the morning on a Sunday when we're talking to our American friends on our new Hello America, This is Portugal show, which seems to be going down very well. Bold yellow grey jumpers from the Tea Duck with the deep thoughts of the day. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Now, that's a way to calm our stress this morning. What a lovely idea. Taking us back to, was it Tuesday when we spoke to Jason? Also a very popular, it's not alongside our Golden Visa Killed, somewhat clickbaity video, which is now over 1,000 views. We are featuring the likes of Bobby O'Reilly, Raquel from Lighthouse Consulting, Carl Hyde, and of course, Veronica Ronnie down there, American in the Algarve, talking about various aspects of real estate in Portugal. That's going incredibly. That's going viral by our standards. But also the wonderful Back to the Farm video, very popular as well. Judge each day, or don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. And Jason was talking all about that on Tuesday. Thank you, Jason. Looking forward to having your company as a regular contributor as well. Thank you for that. Robert Louis Balfour Stevenson was a Scottish novelist. That's Robert Louis Stevenson, essayist, poet, and travel writer, best known for works such as Treasure Island and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Not that one, not Carl Hyde. I don't think so. Anyway, Portuguese saying, oro e que oro vala. Gold is what gold is worth. Everything is worth its price. What does that really mean? Hugonunu then, Portugal was the first maritime power and birthplace to some of the world's first explorers. Yes, and I think we'll refer to this when we talk to Maria João Silva, the exploratory gene that Portuguese people are born with. Portugal was at the forefront of the European exploration in the 15th and 16th centuries. I've got a map here of that, which I realized I didn't download earlier this morning. Let me find that. Yeah, I mean, and this is why you'll see the streets named after Vasco da Gama, of course, and why many young fellas, mainly fellas, of course, called Vasco as well. I haven't seen my mate Vasco from Rent Auto for a long time. Have car rental prices gone down any? I wonder. I used to drive rental cars all the time back in the day. Oh, lovely video from John that's just come in. More north of Portugal propaganda this morning from John. A lovely meetup video, actually. Some folks gathering for a meetup up there in the north. And I think it's there. It might be a language. John was telling me in the Portugal Club about the get-together of expats who do language study together, which seems really a good idea, doesn't it? Rather than just drinking and eating. They're honing up their Portuguese. So here's the map then. To go with our Who Knew this morning. Where's the rest of this T-Duck? Oh, Salvation Air Force is here this morning. And now I've lost the... Oh, here we go. Second part. During the Age of Discovery, of course, Ferdinand Magellan, which I think is a great name, became the first person to circumnavigate the globe. Vasco da Gama, who somewhat more famous, it would appear, discovered the sea route to India, and Bartholomew Dias, who we don't hear so much about, was first to sail around the southern tip of Africa. Alvarez Cabral and others discovered new lands, including Brazil, parts of Africa, and the Far East. It was the equivalent of Instagram back in the day, wasn't it? You didn't have an Instagram channel. You got yourself a boat, didn't you, if you wanted to be somebody, and off you went, and maps like this were created. That's a beauty there, isn't it? Wow. What do you say, T Duck, about that map? I know you're a lover of maps. That is an absolute beauty, isn't it? Is it a Portuguese map? And did the Portuguese put themselves at the centre of it? They didn't really, did they? They were highlighting the fact, I guess, of their discoveries there around the world. Lovely picture to go with the Ugu Nunu today. Thank you very much for that. More of your comments before we join very soon, I think, by my Maria João Silva. Have I sent her the link? I wonder. It would be very useful, wouldn't it, if I did? Okay, yes, I'll do that now. Sorry, Maria João MJ, if you were waiting to join us. We know that Heather's good to go. I'm working on her sound as we speak. I just need to send the link to Maria João Silva behind the scenes here, who will be joining us soon. But we're barely up to speed on the comments this morning. Lots of them this morning. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for buying the mugs. People talk about the mugs there in the comments. Swimmers, what? Oh, there's some dad jokes we'll come back to as well. Thank you very much for those. Guess that's brilliant. I think there are 4. That's confused me this morning. There are quite a number of good, excellent dad jokes there this morning. Yesterday's quote, if you want nothing, you have everything. Yes, was really about reducing stress, not chasing a bigger house, flashier car, a younger partner. Indeed, if you want nothing, you have everything. Okay, yes, rather than trying to get all that and then not needing it anymore. So yeah, not chasing, but being contented. Thank you very much. I think about stress as if it is poured into a bucket too much and it will overflow. It helps me visualize what's happening with some of the young athletes I coach, particularly they have exams today. Wow. And what can you do to reduce stress? Well, I stopped watching psychological dramas on TV. They upset me too much, softy that I am. Oh, think about what you might stop or how you might change your mindset. Excellent today. Very good. About the stress this morning, and Coach Turner, not just about the body, but the stress, of course, because it has a massive effect on the body and your health. Deagle, big coffee company in Italy to start olive oil flavor coffee. I draw a line at these vanilla, caramel, orange coffees. Should be strong, rich smell that lingers and creates the moment. I thought you were going to say creates a movement, because sometimes that happens as well, doesn't it? Not a hip hop fancy, a coffee, yes, maybe a latte with olive oil. What is it with these upstarts ruining a simple drink? He sounds a bit grumpy this morning, doesn't he, about that? 100%. Coffee should be coffee. Get off my lawn. The grumpy old farts of Good Morning Portugal are not having it. Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz Quinta todos, tudo bem? From James. How you doing, mate? T-Duck, the Portuguese early explorers are not really that good. They ignored us in Ireland. Or just let you be. Just think we could be Portuguese citizens, easy entry with no golden visa. That's a way of looking at it, isn't it? That they didn't find you. They went south, and who doesn't like to go south in the morning? Okay, good morning, all. Evacuated from my hotel in Porto at 2 a.m. this morning. Why? Homeless guy in the foyer accidentally set fire to his bedding. Yikes! Back in my room by 4, just went out to the market, and there's another homeless guy sleeping in the same place now. Welcome to Porto, the Portugal Sun. I hope you bought him a cup of coffee, Salvation Air Force. Bom dia, alegria todos from the Portugal Sun in South Africa this morning. Olá, bom dia todos. Smash that like button as if you're trying to break the 100 meters record. Steady on, everybody, with that like button. Go easy. Like buttons have feelings too, you know. Bon dia, 30 minutes to removals arrive. Wow, and I underestimated the work involved. Don't we all? What, are you chucking everything hastily into plastic bags now to be chucked unceremoniously into the back of the van? That's how it works, isn't it? Chris did it in under 9 seconds for sure. Yes. Bon dia, alegria from Owen and Michael. Bon dia todos from VRSA this morning, Villarreal de Santo Antonio. Bon dia, alegria todos. Bon quinta-feira from Matty. Jim White's in. Talked about Porto, and here you are. Bon dia todos as well. Here we go. These are the words from Darren. Carry on moving this morning. Ran out of boxes and lost my tape. Jim White, bon dia todos. Thank you, Jim, twice there. So good you greeted us twice. Watching, look at this. Martha's watching live from Nairobi. Good morning, Nairobi. Language training tip of the day, the LTTD for pronunciation exercises. Put DeepL in Portuguese mode and use the microphone to speak your phrase and see if it can understand you. Or does it look at you like some people do in a Portuguese coffee shop? Huh? But keep going, folks. You can also do that with Google Translate, put in Portuguese and speak in the microphone. Fantastic. 2 weeks till we climb on a plane, Portugal bound. Excellent. Loving that. So excited for you, Francis, says James. We all are. Okay, so in the move, Darren, what do you do for a living if you find a $20 note and a box of chocolates under your bed? You don't have to answer that. Bon dia from Baddy. And by the looks of things, seems to be Men's Day in GMP till now. The fellas do arrive early. Ladies, see if you can do something about that. Sean Connery, the hill, yes. Sean Connery in the Sahara Desert. Good morning, my favorite people. Look at this, Ronnie's here as well. Suze, I will get a new mug or some other bits of GMP fun items when I get there. Oh, you broke your mug, I think, didn't you? Downsizing again. You can always use it as a pen holder if it's got a crack in it. I find fun things, can't help it. Plan to travel light all the same. We'll have a mug for you here. Don't bring one, Suze. We will get you a new one here. Meetup video in Ponte Lima is just for a lunch and social thing. 60 people. I didn't think there were 60 people in Ponte Lima. Very good. Bye Randy is here. Bob Wenger is here. Also fantastic. And map sent on WhatsApp from Salvation Air Force. But we can't look at it now because we need to give her a nice big round of applause. She joins us on the screen now. MJ Silva. How are you this morning?
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi. Everything is great. Bom dia, alegria.
All the alegria. Are those your
How
own
are you?
artworks behind you, MJ? Oh, she's frozen. Oh, hello.
Sorry, didn't hear you.
Are those your own works of art behind
Hi.
you? Are you an artist as well as a
Yeah.
writer? Oh, she's a Renaissance woman from top to
Yes.
bottom, from side to side. You're amazing. Right. So let's just, for people who
Oh,
haven't met
thank
you
you.
yet,
You're amazing.
well, we got some new folks here who haven't met you yet.
Yes.
MJ, good morning. And you are an author, writer,
Mhm.
teacher, artist, musician, blogger, which we will delve into today. Did I miss anything there? She keeps freezing, didn't she? I think we might have a oh, is she
I'm
back
an,
again now? Sorry,
oh,
go on. You keep
I'm
dropping in
here.
and out. You keep dropping in and out.
Oh, really? I can see you perfectly. Okay.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop
Also
talking.
an
So that,
editor and a publisher.
yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be fun this morning.
Oh my
Do
God.
you know what? I'm going to be a bear
This is
this
going to be
morning.
an adventure.
Big pause. I'm going to leave a big pause after each time I speak to make sure we catch you, because I think there's a little bit of a delay on the line, MJ.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right. And it's going to work well this morning.
This is going to be an
because we have-
adventure.
It is. We've got your wonderful blog here, which I want to put onto the screen. It is
Okay.
entitled "They Say Traveling Changes Us," and what I would love, and this will help with the sound delay and the technical difficulties. Maybe if you read some chunks of it, so we can hear you reading your own words, and then we'll pause from time to time for some reflection, because I love it. This road trip with your mum and the mention of your ancestors, because we were talking about the great Portuguese explorers this morning. So,
Yeah.
do you have the blog in front of you?
I'm opening it right.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, I got it.
You got it. Okay, over to you.
Okay.
Okay. This is a bit awkward.
So you want
Yeah, we've got a problem here, Houston, this morning, MJ. It's not just a pause. It seems to be sort of breaking in and out again. Would you like to recreate your connection to the show? That might be one way of giving it a go, yeah?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
She's going to...
Let's do it.
All right, she's gonna revive her connection. Just so you know, what we'll be looking at is her blog called "They Say Travel They Say Traveling Changes the Mind." I can only see the first part, but yeah, they say traveling changes us, and I'll put the link to it so you can read it for yourself as MJ reads it out behind the screen. She's going to rejoin us. Let's catch up with a few more comments. Not just technical difficulties, physiological difficulties there. I got into a coughing fit. Well, maybe we'll go to your map in WhatsApp, Salvation Air Force this morning. Antonio F has just arrived. Did you bring Dr. Bayard's sweets with you, Antonio F? I think I could do with one of those right now. And who else has joined us? Oh, lost my tape again. It's a bit stressful, but thank you for tuning in to the Good Morning Portugal show while you're moving your clobber there and making your way towards Portugal. Very exciting. Good stuff. What's this then? What's the map you sent? Oh, you will be interested in maps, won't you? Beautiful photos of Porto this morning, which I'll bring to the screen in just a moment. And if I may, Salvation Air Force, if I could maybe immortalize these as a bit of a photo blog as well on our website, goodmorningportugal.com. That'd be superb if you wouldn't mind us doing that. So I'll just give people a sample of those. Oh, what's this? I don't think your map came through. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give the video of Ponte Lima a spin, and we'll come back to some of those Porto pictures in just a while. All fun here on the Good Morning Portugal show with interesting connections in every sense of the phrase there. But we'll go to Ponte Lima now and a bit of an expat meetup coming at 10 when we climax the show, or thereabouts. Portuguese Cowboys. It's my great pleasure to share a video with you created by, or around the song Portuguese Cowboys by Ron Rogers. And we'll stay in Porto for that because it's a superbly made video as well. But for the time being, Ponte Lima, everybody, and an expat gathering.
What are you lot bloody doing out here? You didn't tell me, did you?
That's a beautiful venue for a meetup, isn't it? And I think I heard the northern tones of Owen in background as well there, as well as some American voices. Superb stuff. Thank you very much for that, John. 60 people also turn up for that. Is that should that be part of a scouting trip as well? Sounds like a very convivial. I love that buzz that was going on there in the background. So it sounds like people are glad to see each other. And it might be a good thing to include whilst touring the country if you're heading up as far as the north. Couple of pickies then from Porto this morning, where a Salvation Air Force has had an interesting time and not very much sleep. Look at this, Porto. Beautiful, beautiful building. Beautiful pictures. Thank you so much. Having an interesting time up there in Porto, it would seem. Let's bring it back onto the screen. Is that any better now, MJ, I wonder? No, not at all. Oh, what a shame. We are. I think I might have to read your blog out here, and you might just have to give us subtitles or something like that, MJ. So let me begin with this lovely blog of yours, because it's very beautiful. It's not only it's personal journey, personal growth sort of stuff, and it does echo very beautifully what we were talking about before, thanks to T-Duck and the Explorers of Portugal. They say traveling changes us. It's August the 13th, 2022, and we're leaving the Santuario de Fatima. Me and my mum are driving back to Lisbon. This is MJ speaking now in this blog after a beautiful, very special mom-daughter love day. We spent most of our trip home talking about our family members and family stories. Now, this is the great stuff here. We spend most of our trip home talking about family members and family stories. As a lover of history and stories, it's inevitable to listen to my mum and think about my grandfather and the amazing stories he'd tell us about his adventures. The easiness with which he opened the atlas. Look at this, it's all about the maps today, isn't it? And pointed on the map exactly the places where he'd been. And that's what I love about this. Imagine having a Portuguese grandfather who, in the tradition of the great Portuguese explorers, could open up an atlas and tell you where he'd been in this great. So what is it? They've got a gene, haven't they, the Portuguese, for exploration. And here's MJ's grandfather opening the atlas and pointing to places he'd been to. Always followed by his coined phrase, one occasion. Isn't that great? It just sounds like something from a great storybook you'd read as a kid. One occasion. That would have me glued to his voice and his fascinating stories that made me dream and travel at the rhythm of his words. It must run in the family, I guess. An apple doesn't fall far from the tree, they say. I guess they're right. I come from a family of travelers and explorers on my mother's side. And just like my grandfather, my mum is an extraordinarily passionate and funny storyteller. When we were planning how we would go from Lisbon to Fatima some weeks earlier, we thought about passing San Martinho de Porto for lunch. And this is a spooky thing here. Where's me? Yes. But when the day came, Fatima's powerful aura kept us there for a while longer. Not Fatima Whitbread, which is exactly where Coach Turner's mind would have gone, but Fatima, the spiritual center of Portugal. Is it the spiritual center? It's certainly a very spiritually significant place here in Portugal, which if we can speak to MJ, we will see if she can speak to us now and tell us more about it. How's that?
Hi.
Have you?
Oh,
Oh my word!
are we good?
What did you do?
Yes.
What did you do?
I
Did you
restarted the
reboot your
computer.
router? Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Superb stuff. Well,
Hello, everybody.
oh, that's such a relief. That's so much better. San Martino de Porto, then, which kept popping up during this piece, and Fatima. Tell us about Fatima, if you will, MJ. It's not so long ago, is it, that 3 children saw an apparition of Mary there, after which you are
Yeah.
named, of course. And this was only in what,
Yes.
1914, I believe.
Yeah, I
Or
think
certainly
it was
the 20th
during.
century.
I'm not sure about the exact date, but it was around that time. Yes.
Yeah, and somewhere your
In
mum
the
loves to go
early
by the sound of
20.
it. Well, we have got that pause still, haven't we? But over to you. Tell us a bit more about this blog
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
journey. Maybe I have got to keep reading it, and we can just.
Oh,
What are you?
not again.
We do seem to have it again, so I will carry on. Chip in as you wish. Okay. So I guess it wasn't yet the moment to go. This is San
Okay.
Martino de Porto. You're being drawn by Fatima's powerful aura. I grew up with a very special friend that spent and still spends her vacations in San Martino. Now, I love this about Portuguese people as well, how they return to the same place for a holiday. Not just them, but it's like a family tradition. And then they take their own children. And I've seen this when I lived
That's
up in
true.
northern Portugal, yeah, and it seems to be the case here in San Martino de Porto. I've always been pulled there quite mysteriously.
For sure.
I never really understood why. There's something about San Martino that has always magnetized my attention, a bit like New York has. Wow, we're in the same league as New York here, certainly for MJ. It's the same kind of magnetism. Later on, I met my friend on my son's father's side that also has a family home in San Martino. So my life has been curiously, delicately revolving around San Martino, unlike mine now, MJ. I know I'll answer.
That's true.
I know I'll know the answer once I'm there. And although we traveled through Portugal many times as a family, my mum swears that San Martino is a place we never went. Curious enough, a month and a few days after I took this trip to Fatima with mum, I was invited for a live show directly from San Martino de Porto. I think that's us, isn't it? Isn't that?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's you.
The universe, life, God always knows what to do. And some things that you might not understand for years on end, life always finds a way to make them clear in the moment you're ready. Any spooky happenings like that, folks tuned in, let us know about them when the universe, life, or God has spoken to you in this way, moving you around the planet. Me and my mum ended up staying in Fatima until the middle of the afternoon, bonding. I came to learn things I had no idea had happened. Episodes that, to me, as an adventurous, curious granddaughter, are incredibly fascinating. To go far back in our family tree and learn more about my family history or family story, revealed to be priceless. So if you can, and if the technology allows, MJ, I'll shut up talking for a minute and let you speak for a good chunk, and then we won't have to talk over each other.
No. So you'd like me to read the rest?
Go ahead.
Or do you want me to talk about the trip itself?
Either or both. Either or both is good.
Okay. So let me just tell you one thing before I start reading, because this trip to Fatima was very special because it was something that came to me in my thoughts. I was doing something, maybe I was working, and I heard this voice telling me you have to be in Fatima by August 13th. It was this crazy. This was nothing that it's not that thing that we plan. Oh, I'm going to go to Fatima this vacation. No, that's not what happened. I was called to Fatima in a very special way, a specific date. And I was like, why do I have to go to Fatima on August 13th? But as a medium, I also received these messages sometimes. So I didn't even question. So I said, okay. And I heard, and you have to go with your mom. And I was like, okay. So I called my mom and I told her we have to go to Fatima together. I don't know why, but and she was like, oh, sure, let's go, because she's always traveling everywhere. So she just jumped in. It was amazing. It was really good.
You
So
leaving me a
this is a
pause.
little bit of the backstory.
Go on, carry on.
Um, this is a little bit of the backstory of this special trip to Fatima. It was so good. It was really great. Did you ever go there?
Yes, it was one of the first places we went, and we happened to go
Or
on the 100th centenary. So I would say then that the apparition happened in 1918, because we must have been there in,
yes, yes,
yes,
that's
in
it. That's it.
28 on the
1918.
100, on the centenary. Yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
remarkable place, no question. On all sorts of levels, Fatima is a remarkable place.
Yeah,
Yeah, we loved it.
and I think it has a, I don't know, a special energy. I don't know if it's because people go there and pray, but there's, I don't know, it's so light to go there. I don't know if you felt that, but it has a different energy once you get in the place.
It's so true,
That's
MJ,
how.
and this is the thing, with for people who are atheistic or agnostic, and understandably some people have got full on beef with the church and religions.
Mhm.
That is separate to what you can experience, isn't it, energetically? So that's what I
Yes.
would urge. That's the thing about Fatima. Some people might be put off. Oh, I don't want to go there. I'm a lapsed Catholic or whatever, and that it's nothing but problems and war and stuff like that, and people fighting people. Well, that may be true, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that these beautiful buildings and sites in Portugal don't have their own magic and energy, which you can really benefit from.
That's true, because the thing is, it has nothing in Greece, and I think in general, Fatima connected to Catholic Church. Thing energetically, the place is powerful. It's not only religiously. It's just because when I went there, it was not to, as a Catholic, it was as a it's spiritually and energetically. Even if you're not connected to the Catholic Church, you should go there, because the power of and the energy of the place is just remarkable, and the way
Yeah.
you can focus and meditate, and I don't know, I can't even explain. It's just really powerful to go there.
Yep. And here's a
The
vote
energy
for the
is
power of
amazing.
prayer. I had to pray for deliverance in Fatima because I lost my car in those huge but identical car parks. Took me
Yeah.
2 hours to find it. A test of Dougie's faith.
Oh, wow.
Emily Pontiatoros, who also
Bom
says,
dia.
I totally agree with you, Good Morning Portugal, and MJ, about the energy of holy sites, regardless of religion, in spite of sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's super true.
Right. So tell us more about this magic then, here, MJ, and lovely trip with your mum, finding out about your grandparents and uncles and so on. What else happened?
Well, we went there. We stayed a little bit at the Capelinha das Aparições, that now has, it's that huge um, place that was built around the place that is said that Nossa Senhora appeared. And then we just stayed there for a while, and then we went on visiting the other two buildings after lunch, because, as I said in the article, we were going to go to São Martinho to have lunch, but then it was magnetizing us there in Fatima, so we stayed. And as we were walking together, and it was so beautiful, because my mom is 78 years old. Although she's very energetic, she is almost 80. And it was so beautiful, walking hand in hand with her, or with my arm around her. It was so special, and I can't even describe. And then we were walking, and as we were walking, we started talking about our family and feelings around situations and family members. And then my mom started to talk about when she was young. I don't want to go too much into detail because it's our private things, but
Sure.
she started talking to me about how she met my dad, because I knew it already, but revisiting it, it was so beautiful. And talking about my grandfather and my grandmother. And then she started talking to me. Now we were in the car coming back home, and she started telling me about how people used to date back in the day here in Portugal, because I don't know if you ever saw those old Portuguese movies, because they really represent how Portugal was back then. And then my mom started to talk about how they used to write letters to each other, because my mom comes from, although my grandparents lived here in Lisbon a lot, they have vacation house in Aveiro. So my mom had this huge group of cousins. They were 33, and
Wow.
yeah, they were a huge group. Yes,
Yes.
they would ride their bikes to the beach and go to each other's homes. It was like amazing. So you see, I'm fascinated because I love to hear stories of this kind, because you not only learn so much about the culture, but also about how people used to live their lives. And because sometimes we look at people that are older than us like as if they didn't have a life back then. I don't know if that happens to you, but yeah. And then she started talking about, we went on our family tree, and I learned a lot of great grandmothers and great great grandfathers names and what they did. And well, it was so beautiful.
What's lovely about this, Jay, and do you know what? I'm going to bring Heather on now, if I may, Heather. I've already done it.
Sure.
Good
Hi.
morning. Good morning to you, Heather.
Hello.
Hi,
Lovely to
Heather.
lovely to see.
Hi.
And
Nice to meet you.
I've been
You too.
hastily sorry to talk over you. You
It's
introducing
okay.
each other. How rude of me and ungentlemanly not to say Heather meet
No,
MJ. MJ meet Heather. Lovely to
Nice
have you
to
both
meet
on the screen. What a
thank
privilege for
you.
me this morning. And I was having a little bit of an exchange with Heather behind the scenes, because Heather lost her mum last year, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I've just
you.
asked MJ to speak about her mum. And I just thought, I hope this doesn't, this hasn't been upsetting for you, Heather. I've got some stuff going on with my mum behind the scenes, and suddenly
Mm.
it's become like it's the morning of the mums, perhaps, and a little shout out to the mums, and how lovely that you did this, MJ, and a little reminder, perhaps, everybody, that you were moved by that little voice to say, take your mum to Fatima. And then you found out all this stuff about her that if you hadn't followed that little inkling, it wouldn't have happened, would it? So shout out to the
Not
mums
at
and
all.
shout out to the intuition that says funny things to you in the middle of the night or random times of the day. And then
On call.
aren't you glad you acted on that?
What?
Yeah, and you
What?
just have to go for it, because sometimes we hear these things and we start questioning.
Yes.
Oh, what am I hearing? Well, this is so
Yes.
strange. What kind
Yes.
of message is this? But then if you follow it, you get to the place. I have this way of I started living like on this premise, which is go where you're called. If you're called to go, there's a purpose for that. If you start questioning, there's something you're going to miss if you don't go. Even if it doesn't seem to make sense, you just go, because
Mhm.
it's because you have something to do or to experience, um, that if you don't act on it, you're just
Yeah.
going to miss it.
Yes, yes, yes. That's so beautiful. Thank you. And Heather, thank you very much, because we were having this conversation behind the scenes, weren't you? And you said, I like to talk about my mum. And isn't that lovely to, and that is a great way to
Yeah,
honor people, isn't it? Is to, rather
for
than
sure.
to not talk about them, more to sort of put them into history, to keep them alive in a different kind of way there. So that's
Yeah,
really
if I can comment on that, I really loved hearing what MJ was saying about walking with her mom and, that being really special. And, you know, at the end of the day, those are the things we hold on to, is those kind of memories. Uh, and avoiding that is, not the way. And it was recent, my mom passed November 1st,
right.
but,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and it's like, when after she passed, I gave a bunch of, like, majority of her stuff to my friends here, and one of my friends was like, is it going to upset you to see me wearing, your mom's clothes, jewelry, whatever? And I was like, no, it's actually really cool. Like, when I see my friend Donna now, I'm like checking her out, going, okay, what's she wearing? And my friend Tatiana, she wears a ring that was my mom's, a lot. And so, like, to me, that just helps her memory live on, you know?
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, and so much to be said for having the conversations that do keep people alive in our hearts and minds. And this, it wasn't just you were finding out about how your mum and dad dated, how your other ancestors, how they lived. I mean, this idea of cousins, 30 cousins turning up at someone's
Oh.
house, that must have been a nightmare for mums back in the day, right? When all that lot needed feeding.
I don't. In my mom's case, I don't think so, because the place, the town, let's call it the town, where my grandparents' ancestors were from, because my grandmother and grandfather in my mom's side, they were cousins. They were like, in third degree or something, or second degree. They were not, direct cousins, but they were in the same family. They shared the same last name. And so many people on that place that my grandparents, my great grandparents were originally from, were cousins. And many people have the same last names as my grandparents did. So
Fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
And
lovely thing
it's
about Portugal.
Yeah, and it was not such a small place. It's quite big, I would say,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people with the same last names. Um, so the thing is, well, my grandfather had 7 brothers, so the family was huge. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. And this is why
yeah.
Dougie's saying this. In many, many ways, people had better lives back in the day. I guess if the family felt in any way oppressive, that could be quite difficult. And that's what a lot of people have kind of run away from, isn't it? I mean, that might be an expat thing. We're doing the opposite of that in many ways, aren't we? We're leaving networks and connections and where people know you and know your secrets and know your past. But on balance, a lot of people seem to want to regain that sense of connection and the past. Although whilst it's a human urge to escape it, it does seem very nourishing to have that as well, as a possibility. Portugal's son, I had a similar experience with my mum when I visited. It was on a
Oh,
prompting when she was going to wrap up my grandfather's estate. Very special time. She walked me through her childhood. So really, really good little prompt
oh
this.
wow.
Follow your inklings, follow those invitations. We've got Ocean Dweller over there in Madeira. Hola, bon dia todos as well. Be nice to get a picture. We've got another blog coming from you in Madeira soon, Ocean Dweller. Thank you for being here this morning. So that's so lovely. The blog. Did you want to add any more, MJ, about that? This idea of how traveling changes us. It certainly changed you that day out, didn't it?
Yeah, because it was the first time in my life that I um, really bonded. Like, I felt as if my mom and I were one. I can't explain it in another way. We bonded in such a way that it was like we were one.
Wow,
Beautiful.
precious, precious, precious stuff. So,
Yeah.
all because you described yourself as a medium, I think, like a clairsentient or clairaudient. The message came in and you followed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it's
I
a
didn't even
lesson
question.
oh, sorry. It's a lesson in trust your
No,
instincts, you know, trust your gut. When something tells you to go or to be somewhere or not to be somewhere, you know, those are messages who knows from ourselves, from others, whatever. But I think those are good lessons for sure.
Yes, which is a lovely introduction. Will you stay with us, MJ, and chip in and be available to answer questions as well? I'm going to take that as a yes. Heather,
yes,
Heather okay, great.
sure.
Was that part of your journey to come to Portugal? Was it based on inklings? I know it's based on a lot of thorough research as well and some serious practicalities, but has it worked on every level? Did you get inklings and intuitions to come here?
Uh, yes, I would say in a way, it just felt right. I mean, the first time I brought my mom, we came in 2017, and, you know, it was just a feeling because I remember being in Lisbon, and I'm not a big city person per se. I like to go to the city and visit and then go back to my countryside and my great little city. But I went out on the streets, you know, late at night, about 10:30 at night, the night we arrived, to go get some food for us. And my mom stayed in the room. And I just remember that feeling of that blanket of, I don't have to fear these people walking towards me in the same way. Not that it's, you know, 100% safe here, but it was just so different, you know, coming from, I grew up in Chicago and I'm from Phoenix and, you know, upstate New York, just all over. And just that whole, you know, pervasive feeling that you have, at least as an American growing up in America, I was able to let that go. And I'll tell you where it's so striking is when, you know, I brought my parents with me and my dad is still here. And when I go and hang out with my dad, it's like I feel that stress again because he always has like news on or like just, you know, that I stopped listening to that sort of news a long time ago because you were talking about ways to reduce stress. Well, one of my ways is to, you know, listen, know what's going on, but not listen to the sensational aspects that really cause us stress and don't add anything and are just, you know, stories that they're using to fill the air that are really playing on people's tragedy, basically. And so when I just go down in my dad's space, we have a bi-family home, if you will. When I go down there, it's like I instantly feel that that energy that I was so happy in Lisbon to just walk away from. And so if anything drew me, it was really that feeling of, you know, this makes sense. And then there's goofy, weird little things. Like I have this thing, I have like this fetish, not sexual, but I have this fetish for little silverware. I do. Anyone who knows me well knows that I like go get coffee, I get the little teeny tiny spoon, and I'm like super excited. I love little silverware and little glasses and stuff like that. And it's everywhere in Portugal. It's just everywhere. And I don't like ice in my drinks. And that's everywhere in Portugal. You know, just like it's stupid, but like it just felt like this is right for goofy reasons.
Oh, that's so lovely. The goofy reasons, the little things can make a big difference, can't they? I love those. If anyone's got any goofy reasons, I'm sure people watching and listening will say, yes, actually, that's right. My goofy little reason is this. So if you've got any goofy little reasons, do pop them into the chat and even send pictures of your drink without ice in it. 913-590-303. So tell us more about what you do, Heather. That's a little bit of your backstory about moving to Portugal. And my goodness,
Sure.
you really moved to Portugal, didn't you? Family, partner, pets. You did the whole 9 yards, I think, as Americans say. And now you're offering that service to other people.
Yeah, you know, in going through what I went through to figure out what's misinformation, what's information that's accurate, what applies to me, what doesn't apply to me, how do I move a parrot, how do I move elderly parents, how do I keep my dad on this specialty medication, just like everything. I mean, there's so many things. How do I get him a handicap plaque so we can get around town easier? There was just such a monumental amount of stuff, and that doesn't count the normal stuff like the driver's license exchange and getting the residency card, just the whole thing, of course, starting with the visa, the NIF, all of that. So it became really apparent to me that that there was a market there, that really you had attorneys and very like high priced ways of doing things, which for certain people makes total sense. But then you didn't really have like kind of a good value, but really quality provider that also really, really went in depth. And that's what we're working on. Like you have someone that'll get you your NIF as an example, but will they get you then your password to your financial portal, which you don't even know you need. And you don't even know that that's generated by who gets your NIF. And then if you don't get that password, you're kind of screwed. Like it's a nightmare, right? It's a nightmare. And then so we actually are working with our bank that we deal with, and being able to do things like receive people's bank cards and receive people's passwords. And then I have a local partner that works with me, and she's Portuguese, of course, and she is able to help people actually step through that stuff and understand. And we were just talking yesterday how we really need to get really serious help, even on the bank, because to me and you, online banking in the country you grew up in is online banking in the country you grew up in, like no big deal. But here, it's a whole nother world. Is these weird cards with matrixy numbers, and like it's just, I mean, people don't even know what an IBAN is, and so like it's just all this stuff you don't know, and it's really important, and it becomes really stressful and frustrating to not have access to that information, and not have somebody that will kind of hold your hand through it. So we're doing everything from visa processing full on to various types of consulting. I moved my parrot here, and I kept her in bed so that she would be quiet, because she always gets really excited when I get on my Zoom calls and stuff. She starts chattering in the background. But
I thought other people might have thought you said you moved your parent here. You said parrot.
Oh, I moved my parents and my parrot.
Well, how difficult is it to move a parrot to Portugal then? Because most of the shipping companies will work with cats and dogs, won't they? I think birds are another matter altogether, aren't they?
Birds are another matter altogether, depending on the bird. She's an African gray Congo, and so they are considered an endangered species now, unfortunately. And so, but even moving like a conure has a really similar level of depth to it. So I would say, it's totally worth it, but it literally was also the hardest thing I've ever been through, and it changed me. When you talk about travel changing you, relocation changes you. Yes. And literally moving that bird changed me. It was so intense in so many different ways. And I did hire a professional relocation company, but there were so many things that I wish, again, it's like, I hired help when I got my visa, my personal visa initially. But even then, there was just so many things that weren't addressed with that help. Like there were a lot of things that were, but then there were just so many little things that weren't, that were hugely important. And the exact same thing goes with the parrot, moving the bird, just all the details. I moved 2 pugs. Pugs are difficult to move, just all of those things. So I'm a very detailed person. My background is real estate. I'm a real estate broker in Arizona for 28 years. And the details make the difference. Yes. In everything, in reality. And so those little bits really did make make everything either more difficult or smooth. And it was a matter of the information I had presented in front of me, as well as having a trusted person or people to be able to get information from, instead of, a Facebook group where there's 8 million people and you get some snarky comments and, like the whole thing. And, the reality is we don't know any of this. It's like we're toddlers. And I was having to tell my Portuguese gal that I was like, she sees it because she's really worked with me heavily, and the level of cluelessness that you have is pretty great. And so but it's also, I don't know about you, Carl, but I felt like it just also shook me up in a way that nothing would have if I stayed in the U.S.
Oh yeah. This is a new lease of life. This is amazing what's happened, and it's quite the phenomenon. And that's what I want to ask MJ as our honorary Portuguese person in this one. Antonio
Yes.
F as well, of course. But what do you make of this, MJ? Because this is definitely a phenomenon. What was normal to us comes as a bit of a shock if we don't experience it in the same way when we arrive, and it can add to the stress of moving, and that's part of what shapes us and changes us, hopefully in the long term in a good way. But what do you make of all these folks coming to Portugal? This is quite a new phenomenon, isn't it? The volume and the diversity of people coming and these sorts of stories that you're hearing. How is that for you and other Portuguese people in this particular time in 2023, if I could ask that?
Oh, sure. It's curious that you asked that question, because as I was listening to Heather, I was thinking exactly about that, about this moment that we're experiencing with we've always been a country that receives people from other countries. But I don't know if it's because of the impact of social media, and so we are more connected to people that are coming instead of listening in the news or going to places and realizing that people from other countries are coming here. But there is a lot of moving from other countries to Portugal happening at the moment.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel it's amazing because it helps us as Portuguese people to open up, because for many, many years our country was a bit closed, and having the energy of people that are coming from other countries, it's going to enrich not only our culture, but also our ways of looking at the world. Because if we connect to people from other cultures, we are richer and richer, just like Portuguese people go everywhere in the world.
Yes.
It's important that we receive as well. So I see it as a great thing, as an amazing sign of progress, let's say, especially in the mentality of the country. So yeah, and I realized that really, especially people from Americans, I don't know if it's the situation that is happening in America right now. There are many negative aspects that are making some Americans wanting to come here. Maybe it's because it's kind of opposite of, because here is very peaceful, although we have our areas with where we struggle with violence and everything. But overall, Portugal is a very peaceful country where the people are very welcoming. So yeah, I think it's a great thing that we are nesting people.
Oh, what a lovely word to use! Isn't that a relief, Heather? Because she could have said, "No, there's too many of you, and we don't like
Oh,
you."
no.
Well,
Not at all. Not at all.
you know how Portugal is, right? And for those of you that don't, there's like it's pervasive actually. Like even when it comes to buying things, like you have low quality and high quality. There's just no middle. I feel like Portuguese people are that way too. Like they're super warm and welcoming and amazing and helpful and happy you're here or completely not, And so I don't. There's no middle ground. Like in so many things, you have all your documents and you're good, or no, you don't. Like not at all. Like there's no flexibility sometimes. And you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about. And so the I have found Portuguese people to be amazing and had just unbelievable. I mean, the reason I'm even here and in this beautiful house is because I befriended a Portuguese gal who I don't know why she wanted to befriend me. Honestly, still don't. And actually, her name was MJ Maria João. And for the longest time, she only told me her name was Maria for years, several years. I met her in 2017, and then this last year when I actually moved here, I found out that people call her João. And she never told me that, I guess because it's like hard to say or whatever. So anyway, it's kind of funny. But she took me under her wing, and she actually became my project manager and managed this huge remodel in my house. And she got it done in August and
What?
September last year. Yeah, August and September 2021, because I closed on the house August 2nd. And then my parents were showing up in early October.
Wow.
So between August 2nd and October, my parents got here October 11th. Shipping container got here October 9th, also crazy. And in those 2 months plus a week or so, she did a massive remodel, just massive. I've got videos and stuff where before we did the house and kind of along the way in the construction, and a lot of people have seen those on my YouTube, and so it was really interesting. But it just goes back to the fact that she cared, and she cared that my parents had a place to land, and she cared that I wasn't completely freaking out, and that care that the Portuguese have given me has just meant everything. And I not everybody has those experiences, but I really hope they keep looking for them and find them, because if anything makes you feel at home here, it's the people.
Yes,
100%.
Well said. Well said. For Antonio, he's saying, I'd say it's more the diversity. Portugal has already received several migration waves, Brazilians in the 80s and 90s, now again, former Portuguese colonies in the mid-70s and 80s, Eastern Europe in the 90s and 2000s, mostly looking for work, while now a relevant part comes from all over the world and just want to live here and enjoy life. So yeah, interesting comment on diversity there, which is what Jason was saying. The principle of nature is diversity, isn't it? To have the most interesting and productive garden would be to have the most diverse one, very likely, rather than monoculture, and we know where that leads.
Yeah.
This is a lovely comment from Bob. We certainly feel a draw to certain places here in Portugal, just as we felt a draw to the country itself. I love this. We have an acquaintance who says of some places, the veil is very thin here. In a good way.
I like that comment. That was really cool. And hi, Bob. He said hi to me, and I can't shout. I can't go in the comments right now because then I'll lose my screen. But anyways, yeah, the veil is very thin. I get that concept, and that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I agree, says Suze as well. Portugal's a peaceful country. That's why I've changed my smash to a gentle tap of the like button. Nothing wrong with a smash. A little bit of passion sometimes, but just trying out gentle today. Very good. And I think Pete, who is Solar Life Portugal here, likes your adventurous hat. There, Heather. Carl, a visit to the Mina on these chilly mornings may be of your best. The only hat I've got is a hat to keep the sun out of my eyes. I'm so glad to say. Really sunny over there where Pete is, but definitely a nip in the area. Just been to a mate's shop to get Cinder's pig food. This is a day in central Portugal and straw, typically British over-ambitious clothing. See the sun and string vest pops out. Well, there's a lovely vision of Pete, the really string vest in central Portugal. This hand holding. So what you're bringing is the hand-holding service that you described into a hand-holding culture, the friendly culture we've described. How do people engage with that, Heather? Do they just ring you up and say, Heather, it's all too much. Will you hold my hand into Portugal? Can it work like that?
Hopefully not, because it's usually like 2 in the morning when people reach out, which I am a night owl, so I'm potentially up. But
Yes.
my preferred way is people go on our website, bootsonthegroundpt.com, and there's a contact form. They can also schedule. We do a 30-minute free chat, which is always great because it's super fun to talk to people, kind of get to know their situation a little, and go from there. So those are a couple of really good ways.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you with this. Our theme on a Thursday is indie Portugal, and we've got a lovely. I'd love you to stay here for the music that I'm going to share in a couple of minutes. This is from Ron Rogers, and every now and then a musician will say, "Will you or I'll often ask them, "Can I play your track on our show?" To give an independent musician a bit more of a showcase. It's not exactly MTV, but it does expose people to a little bit more of an audience. And it's the same with businesses. So glad to have you both here, because you're independent producers, creators, and business people, aren't you? And I'll ask you both in closing today how you find that. I'm all for it. We live in an age, don't we, where I suppose the business equivalent of monoculture is the corporations that seem to dominate our lives, and it's really important. And I think it happens here in Portugal that there is a diversity of smaller businesses and family-owned businesses and sole traders and so on. How is that for you, MJ? I guess for you and your personality, it's kind of difficult to fit into the corporate setting. I'm guessing. What's your view on independent Portugal?
Oh, I'm all for it. I think I would fit in, but I have so many ideas and concepts that I want to develop, and that there would be a lack of time to do it, to go into the corporate world and just forget about my projects, because there are books and there's a lot of things going on in my head. But Portugal really has a tradition also of family businesses. And although I'm not creating my businesses in order to to leave a legacy for my son to follow, because he's going to do his own thing, but I'm all for us. We live in a time that is the best time to create our own businesses and make our own dreams come true, like in never before as much as today. We have the platforms for it. We have the resources for it. So, yeah, I'm all for it. You just go for your dreams and maximize and monetize your dreams. That's what I would recommend.
Wonderful, and carry on that wonderful tradition, because when we've had Katia Lima here introducing us to these old Portuguese brands, they're so beautiful, and it's so lovely to see that they've been able to thrive. It's not easy running a business here as a foreigner. I don't think it'd be easy running a business even as a native Portuguese person. How are you finding that, Heather? And sorry, but by the way, MJ, I was projecting there, saying you might find it difficult to fit into a corporation. I will own that completely. I suspect you are far more versatile than me. It's the corporate thing that has me and my blood running cold, and I suspect you could fit in very, very well.
No, I didn't take it as a projection, because I can relate.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that, Heather. You've seen both sides of this. Real estate in the corporate world, as well as running your own business now.
Yeah, I was a managing broker of a large, company, about 1,100 agents or so, and managed a couple offices, as well as was an independent agent for many, many years. So I've done both, and I do not fit in the corporate world, that is for sure. And ultimately, that's what led to my demise there, which was actually a good thing for me, because you don't actually prosper in that situation as a managing broker, but I made amazing friendships and respect, and learned a lot about myself, and have just tons of agents out there that really get it and get me, and that went a long way. And I also teach or taught real estate school when continuing education. And so that also taught me a lot that, the reality is my calling, my thing I like to do is help. And I started that, before I got into real estate with animal rescue stuff, when I was 20, right in there. And so absolutely, it's you're drawn to do your own thing. And when you're not the corporate fit, you're not the corporate fit. That said, I'm actually not a sole trader here. Our company, Boots on the Ground, is actually an LLC in Arizona, and I have a partner there that handles management sort of stuff and business admin. And then I have sole traders that I work with also in Portugal that do everything from our beautiful website, IT work, to my local gal I was talking about. I feel like when I have something so important as your future and where you're living and how you can live there in my hands, I shouldn't be just one person. I feel like that's dangerous, honestly. So I make sure that there's some redundancy there to protect people. And, when my mom passed, when I got COVID, I mean, those things happen. And so you need partners and people that can maybe not fill your shoes completely, but at least go a good way in making sure that your clients are protected and being taken care of. So that said, it's hard. I think business here has definitely got some serious challenges as far as the local traders and local folks. And so there's a balance to all of that. And at the end of the day, it's great to support people that aren't giant corporations in reality, as we all know. And we go to the local restaurants and the local shop owners. And, when I go see, Anila at Flavor of India, she hugs me and tells me she loves me and she means it. Like, this woman's amazing. You know what I mean? And you're not going to get that if you go to Fogo de Chao and Cascais, you know what I mean? So, so there's something to that personal aspect of small business that's really special.
Yeah, and long may it continue. And so please support your local businesses. Let's support a local musician now. Before we do, actually, we did a shout out to the mums. Let's shout out to the dads with some dad jokes. I met a microbiologist. She was much bigger than I expected. What do you call, MJ and Heather, the soft stuff between a shark's teeth? Swimmers.
Swimmers. There you go.
Guess who? There you go. Thank you for tolerating these. Guess who I bumped into on the way to get my glasses fixed? Everyone. Just appears to me. Okay. To finish the show, thank you so much, both of you, for being here this morning. Really lovely to hang out with you both. And we're going to have a treat now from Ron Rogers. This is fantastic, Ron. It is filmed in Porto, so it's a delight on a visual level, showcasing Porto in Portugal here. And it was photographed by Ed Tobin, who is a Matosinhos-based photographer. It's going to be available. It is available on Bandcamp now. The new album is Portuguese Cowboys, and I'm guessing then this is the title track, Portuguese Cowboys. So thank you both very much. We'll see you again soon. You're both residents here, so we'll see you again soon here on the show. And we'll play out today with this wonderful track by Ron Rogers, and I'll put some details of where you can find it. And we'll be in the company of Frank and the Radical Reverend Joe in the morning. So have a great day. We'll see you on the Expats Portugal webinar
You
tonight,
too.
talking about the Golden Visa, Migration Thursday. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
The wonderful Ron Rogers. Bye for now, everybody.
Beijinhos.